So what happened? Well, what happened is that in humans, the second chromosome and the third chromosome that are in primates, somebody somehow fused them together, took off the telomeres off their ends, took the ends off, put them together, and magically made them so that they absolutely continue to work. Apart from how they would normally work. With their ends missing, they still work stuck together. So that's our second chromosome. It's the second and the third primate chromosome fused together. Now, of course, science says, well, nature can do that. Nature can do anything. Nature can do it. Nature can't really do that. Nature can't do it. But they say it does, and so they win because they're the boss. Now, in 9 other of our chromosomes, 9 other chromosomes, if you imagine each one is just a vertical pole, within there, each one of them, on 9 of them, of the 23 that each of us have, a segment has been nipped out here and nipped out here, and that segment has been pulled out, flipped over, and put back in. Now, they say nature can do that too. Nature can't do that. Nature can't do that. That is genetic engineering at work, so it's clear that we've been genetically manipulated. Now, another thing is they...
But how can you say that nature can't do that?
Nip out specific segments of a chromosome, flip them, and put them back in. How's it going to nip them out in the first place, turn it over, and fuse it back in? It just, nature can't do that. They'll say that it does, but the reality of it is that it just can't. They can't. Nature is not that sophisticated. And really what nature does is it conserves whatever it is. It repeats. Nature's job is to repeat exactly what it had before. All of our genes and chromosomes are conserved. Mutations are very rare, and mutations that actually stay and don't cause harm and don't cause death are even rarer. So to do something like this, that's not a mutation, that's an event. A mutation is one little point changing here, one of the base pairs changing. That's a mutation. Taking it out and doing this, that's an event. And there's 9 of them in the human chromosome system. So, but on top of that, supposedly we evolve from things on Earth, that everything builds up on everything else and that everything is connected and there's this big flow of life. Well, within humans, though, there are, of our genes, and they say the argument is the low count is 20,000, the high count is 30,000, and the average is about 25,000 genes that we have within our chromosomes. 232 of those are not found anywhere else in anything else. 232 genes not found. Where did they come from? Where did we inherit them from? How did they get into our gene pool? Well, they couldn't. They'd have to be put there. Now, science, how do they say science put there? Some kind of bacteria infected the earliest of the humans and put them in, and those bacteria no longer exist, and so you can't trace where they did it. But it had to have come from bacteria because it couldn't come from, say, genetic engineering. But nonetheless, the evidence is there. So what the Star Child does is it opens up for debate, serious debate, that argument that we too are genetically engineered. If it was genetically engineered 900 years ago, and we can prove that, then it's not a real big step to consider that human beings were created 200,000 years ago by genetic engineering, as the Sumerians say in their tablets, written 5,000 years ago, and as those of us who believe in the intervention theory of origins think that there's ample evidence to show that. And not only are we genetically engineered, but I think all domesticated plants and animals are genetically engineered for existence on this planet. All of that's going to prove out true in time, in the fullness of time. For as radical as it sounds right now, all of that is going to prove out to be true, and that everything that science, mainstream science, believes now and preaches now and proselytizes now is wrong. It's just wrong. That's why I call my book Everything You Know Is Wrong. It really is. I am convinced, based on years of research, that we right now collectively, the mass of us, are as ignorant in our understanding of reality as were the people 300 years ago who believed that the earth was flat and that it was the center of the universe. We today, right now, our scientific mainstream is no different than the flat earth coterie of 300 years ago. They're no different. They're just as blind to the facts. They're just as blind to reality. And 100 years from now, because things are moving so fast, 100 years from now, people are going to look back on where we are right now today, and they are going to laugh at us as hilariously as we laugh at the people who thought that the earth was flat and that it was the center of the universe. We are just equally ignorant of those realities, and we are going to prove them over time. But there has to be, in my opinion, a tipping point, a fulcrum, something that lifts the lid off the truth and allows it to come out. And I think the Star Child could be that lever, that tipping point, because it will force the argument to get serious. And when the argument gets serious, people are going to start looking at these obvious things now, like the fusion of the second and third chromosomes and the inversion of the nine chromosomal parts, and the not seen before 232 genes and all of that. These things are obvious, but science ignores them because it's in their best interest to ignore it. When it's on the table for proper discussion, and when it can no longer be avoided, those things are going to become mainstream topics of discussion and research and analysis, and the truth will be found. That's my opinion at this point.